Friday, March 30th, Good Friday, Passover. Of course, all of these are just celebrations of the equinox that have nothing to do with spirituality. The weekly near this video begins with a disciplined conversation about interest rates and markets, and then goes off into civilization, just sort of for the hell of it. But partly as a retrospective thought about, we've been celebrating Easter for 2,000 years. I had to look it up. What's Google for? But Passover goes back 1,300 years before Easter. And the equinox, who knows how many tens of thousands of years ago it was when the first one of us laid out a few rocks to mark the annual passage of the sun across the horizon. But anyhow, civilization. Markets, part of the reason for keeping the market section of the newsletter short is that nobody understands. I don't understand. I got some hints, but the Fed raised the overnight cost of money last week from 1.5 to 1.75. It announced forthrightly that it will do that very same thing at least twice more this year, and then 3 times next year, which would put the cost of money at 3. That's for one day. The U.S. 10-year Treasury note, which is the benchmark for mortgages and all long-term money in the world, fell. After trying for a month and a half to pierce 3% going up for the first time since 2013, the first sustained time since 2011, failed. And 10s by the end of this week were trading at 2.74, which is just 0.5% above the Fed indicator, which is 2-year T-notes, and they closed the week at 227. And the 2-year T-note didn't come down after the Fed hiked, but it didn't go up either, which says the 2-year traders are on the skeptical side about just how far the Fed has to go. Or perhaps this is all just some springtime false alarm. We shouldn't pay any attention to it, but maybe it is global pension funds and life insurance companies who, for the first time in 5 years, have a chance to buy 10-year U.S. paper at a yield of about 3, and just sucked all the paper out of the system. Maybe. This week, early week, the Treasury sold $92 billion worth of new 2, 5, and 7-year treasuries without a ripple in the water. Rates just went down. Rates going down typically is a proxy for a slowing economy. The best real-time sources of data for GDP, charts attached nearby, say that we're slower than we were at the end of last year. We're maybe down around 2%, maybe less than that, but we're not, there's no tanking going on. So soon we're going to discover whether we're going to take the next step up, or, as I conclude so often, or not. The civilization conversation is a rundown on all of our overseas competitors and their political status, beginning with China. And I'm going to hold it just to China. There's a commonplace in the press is to refer to Xi Jinping as the emperor for life, that his new open-ended term as the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party means he's an autocrat, that he's a wannabe Putin. It's not true. Don't believe it for a second. China has no constitution. Post-Mao, China has cobbled together succession from one leader to another in an ad hoc way, and the basic idea from the late 1980s forward was General Secretary terms of 5 years plus another 5 years and then sit down. In practice, the last 3 General Secretaries' terms have been inconsequential. They've done nothing. They have been principally inside party efforts just to work out who's going to succeed, whoever the guy is at the moment. Meanwhile, deep weaknesses in the Chinese economy have deepened. And it looks very much to me, I don't speak Mandarin, I haven't been to China to study this, but it looks very much to me as though the collective leadership in China has given to Xi the largest power since Mao, because somebody has to run the place. The state-run industries must be brought under control. Debt must be brought under control. China's 5,000-year problem has been centrifugal forces and really awful chaos. China is prepared at any time to surrender civil liberties in exchange for order, which means peace, which means your children get to live to adulthood. That's all this is. This isn't autocracy. This isn't a takeover. There's nothing like Putin. Xi has one child, a daughter, who on the web is beautiful. She went to Harvard, graduated from Harvard under a pseudonym. We see from Xi none of the cult of personality. There are ordinary things that he must do, like the thoughts of Chairman Xi, but he shows no outsized pleasure with himself. His wife and daughter are absolutely invisible, and his wife was a national celebrity as a performer and one very close to the army before they married, and they have complete invisibility. China's business is business. They are not only our leading competitor, they're about to be top dog with whom we will compete. And trying to do these weekly videos and write weekly without mentioning what's his name is hard to do. I close with holiday hope in the fullness of civilization that the last 18 or so lousy years of U.S. leadership, we're going to get tired of ourselves and we're going to revert to form, and we will figure out ways to compete ourselves. So nothing depressing, just a remark that the rest of the world is completely focused. Business, economic success, and we're going to need to join them before too long. Have a good weekend.